Sam Altman described Atlas, OpenAI's new web browser, which launched this week, as a once-a-decade opportunity to rethink what a browser can be. But is innovation really at the heart of Atlas, or is this a play for eyeballs in a wider distribution war? And to understand why that matters, we need to talk about what the browser actually is, and why tech companies have been fighting over it for 3 decades. Because the browser wars actually never ended. In fact, they might only just be getting started.
AI news. Harry V's got all the clues. It's the G-Core AI News Show.
Let's go back to 1993, the year before I was born. Mark Andreessen and Eric Bina, with their team at the University of Illinois, created Mosaic, the first web browser with a graphical interface, one that non-developers could use. Then in 1994, Andreessen co-founded Netscape and launched Netscape Navigator. By 1996, it dominated the web with 80% market share, but not for long. Microsoft sees a threat. If applications could run in a web browser instead of needing to be installed on Windows, then people wouldn't need Windows anymore. The browser could become the new platform, the new operating system, and Windows would be reduced to just this thing that ran in the browser. So Microsoft responds aggressively. They bundle Internet Explorer with Windows completely free, while Netscape is still charging money. They make it impossible to uninstall. They cut deals with PC manufacturers. It's the classic Microsoft playbook. This becomes Browser War 1. The casualties: Netscape is dead. Explorer has 95% market share. By 2003, it was clear that Microsoft had won. Or did they? Because here's what happens next. And this is crucial. Microsoft stops innovating. Internet Explorer 6 becomes a stagnant nightmare. Now, I think this was the only browser I used all throughout my school days from 10 until I was 18. It's crazy. Web developers are stuck supporting this ancient browser that doesn't keep up with modern standards. So in 2004, Firefox arrives and lights a fire under Microsoft. It grew in popularity because of its speed, tabbed browsing, pop-up blocking, and strong security features. That's over 20 years ago. Then, in 2008, Google launches Chrome. And this is Browser War 2. Google didn't build Chrome to make a better browser, not really. They built Chrome to control the gateway to the internet, because whoever controls the browser controls the search engine, and whoever controls search controls advertising revenue. Chrome became fast, minimalist, and reliable. But more importantly, it had Google as the default homepage. By the 2020s, Chrome had over 3 billion users. And that brings us to today, an Atlas. Let's start by outlining exactly what Atlas is. It's built on Chromium, the same open source foundation that powers Chrome and most modern browsers, except of course Firefox and Safari. The underlying engine is therefore familiar to most users. But what OpenAI has done is rebuilt the interface around AI. First, there's the sidebar assistant. This is a ChatGPT panel that sits beside your browser and automatically understands whatever's on your screen. No more copying and pasting text or dragging links into ChatGPT. It just sees what you're looking at and can answer questions about it. Second, it has browser memories. Atlas remembers the websites you visit and what you do on them. You can ask it, find all the job postings I was looking at last week, and create a summary of industry trends, and it will remember what you're talking about. Third, agent mode. For Plus and Pro subscribers, this is where ChatGPT can browse and interact with websites on your behalf. In OpenAI's demos, they showed it finding restaurants, comparing prices, booking tables, and this is all done autonomously. Let's have a little bit of a demo then. So as you can see, it's certainly great at giving greater context to news stories that you don't understand without leaving the browser. So what I've done here then is, here is a story about the Welsh Parliament. Now, clearly it's very significant, but as I don't live in Wales, I'm not all over the details, so ChatGPT has immediately given me the context that the story doesn't without having to click off it. Specifically, even though this is just one seat, it has wider significance, and as you can see, it's actually broken all of that down and told me that there is a massive swing and a collapse in the Labour vote, and Labour obviously the government at the moment. It's also giving you some historical context as well. The fact that this seat has been a Labour stronghold for quite a while, for 100 years I think, and that this is now in jeopardy because of the Welsh nationalists and another challenger, Reform UK. So it's putting everything into context very simply and very easily. And while this is great, I guess I'm inclined to agree with Peter Gostev. He's the head of AI at Moonpig, and he said there's not magical voice mode that lets you interact with the web differently or some other AI pillared ideas. And indeed, we don't even get to choose what model we're using when we run it. He also said the biggest threat to Google is that the new tab opens ChatGPT and not Google search. And as we can see, that's the case. So if I open a new tab, it immediately brings us to ChatGPT. Now, there's no guarantee, but as Chrome took over the browser market some years back, so could a new browser. And as Gostev tells us, if this happens, Google will lose some default services that they benefited from greatly. Now, in short then, Peter Gostev's point is that this technology is not new. And in fact, we didn't jump straight from Chrome to Atlas. Edge Copilot, initially built on top of GPT-4, an AI chatbot sidebar, was released 2 years ago in March 2023. Perplexity announced their browser, Comet, in February this year and began their rollout, first to Mac subscribers in July. Meanwhile, the browser company decided to stop developing their flagship browser Arc to focus on Dio, which launched in beta, and that was initially available to existing Arc users with an invite, and is now publicly available. But the key difference, I think, is that OpenAI has 800 million weekly ChatGPT users. They have distribution and brand recognition, and since they own ChatGPT, there will clearly be a synergy between the two interfaces. And though you can't yet add project files to the sidebar in Atlas, nor is there MCP support, I don't think we are that far away from that being reality. As I reflected in our episode on OpenAI's Dev Day, we're already starting to see the fully rendered apps get integrated into MCP, and at some point, we may not even need Atlas, as the whole web becomes fully integrated into ChatGPT itself. But let me tell you what I think is really happening here. This isn't actually about building better browsers. As Sam Altman said, tabs were great, but we haven't seen a lot of innovation then. Sure, but I don't think OpenAI woke up one day and thought about allocating resources to making tabs better when their primary mission is AGI. This is about distribution and owning the pipes. We can also see that play out in Meta, who made an apparent attempt to stop WhatsApp becoming flooded with spam, and they closed down all AI bot accounts this week, including ChatGPT's own AI bot. Now, Meta of course don't have a problem with ChatGPT per se, they would just rather you use their Llama models, which are built into WhatsApp. OpenAI is ultimately building a platform, and so they're trying to become the layer between you and the rest of the internet, because of course when we're dependent on platform owners for distribution, they can shut you down at any moment, and Meta proved that with WhatsApp. Apple could kick them out of the App Store, Google could deprioritize them in search results, Microsoft could decide they want to keep all the AI value for themselves. So OpenAI needs to own the pipes in some way, and what bigger pipe is there than the browser itself? As TechCrunch put it, for OpenAI, the browser is much more about keeping ChatGPT central than about making web browsing better. Now, last week, I talked about something that I think is crucial to understanding where this is all going. I said we're heading towards two versions of the internet, one that humans interact with, and another that was designed with LLMs in mind. We're seeing this with early versions of protocols like A2A, the agent-to-agent communication, A2P for payments, and MCP, the model context protocol, which of course lets you connect things with tools. These are structured, programmatic ways for AI systems to interact with services without having to navigate human-designed web pages. I argued that this is better than letting computer use agents loose on the web, because you're building guardrails. You're telling AI exactly where it can go and when, rather than letting it navigate websites designed for humans, which leads to hallucinations and security issues. Atlas represents a different approach. It's not trying to create a separate internet for AI, it's trying to create an AI native interface to the existing internet. You're still browsing human websites, but you've got that intelligent layer that understands them, it remembers them, and it can act on your behalf. In Perplexity's words, when they launched Comet, the internet has evolved from something we simply browse or search. The internet is where we live, work, and connect. Yet we've been trapped in long lines of tabs and hyperlinks, disjointed experiences that interrupt our natural flow of thought. So in my mind, the vision is this: your browser shouldn't just show you websites, it should understand what you're trying to accomplish and help you do it. That is compelling. But the next question is, of course, at what cost? Because here's where things get complicated. Cybersecurity experts have published warnings about Atlas. The browser is vulnerable to prompt injection attacks. So here's how it works. You click on what looks like an innocent link, but hidden in that web page, maybe in white text on a white background, maybe in HTML comments, maybe buried in the page's code, is a malicious instruction that tells Atlas's AI to do something. Transfer money, download malware, share your sensitive data, drain your bank account. And researchers have already demonstrated that this is working, and social media users have of course shown successful attacks against Atlas: clipboard injection attacks, prompt injection attacks. These are all ways to manipulate the AI into doing things you didn't intend. OpenAI's Chief Security Officer, Dane Stuckley, responded that they've done extensive red teaming and have overlapping guardrails and safety measures. They've implemented novel model training techniques to reward the model for ignoring malicious instructions, but nonetheless, it is still an issue. And here's the fundamental problem. When you give an AI the ability to act on your behalf, it becomes an attack vector, and any website can try to manipulate it or influence it. And these attacks are obviously remarkably difficult to defend against, because you're essentially trying to teach an AI to distinguish between legitimate commands from you and malicious commands which are hidden in web content that it's looking at. This is the same problem that computer use agents face. We've obviously moved up a notch from operating level system to the browser level. And then of course there's privacy. The browser memories mean Atlas is tracking everything you do online. That's every site you visit, every search you make, every product you look at, every article you read. Now OpenAI says by default they won't use your browsing data to train their models. You have to opt in for that. And they say enterprise and education data is segregated from training entirely. So what does all this mean? Well, I think AI-powered browsers are the transition phase. They're the bridge between the internet we have and the internet we're building. The question is, can these browsers actually deliver on their promise? Can they make agent mode reliable enough that you trust it with important tasks? Can they solve the security problems? And can they still protect privacy while providing personalized assistance? And ultimately, can they convince billions of Chrome users to switch? My prediction: Atlas will work well for simple tasks, but it will struggle with anything complex, just like Operator did and just like Gemini does. The technology isn't quite there yet, but the strategy is sound. Own the browser, own the gateway to the internet, and own the platform. I think the real question is timing. Is 2025 too early for an AI-powered browser? Or is it OpenAI right that this is a once-in-a-decade opportunity? But make no mistake, this is happening. Every major AI company now believes they need a browser. And the question isn't if AI-powered browsers will become mainstream. The question is when and how. The key question of this week then is, have you switched to Atlas or another browser? Are you excited about AI-powered browsers, or are you concerned about the security and privacy implications? And do you buy into the hype, or do you think that this is overhyped? And finally, before we wrap up, just an honourable mention. Claude have just implemented a memory feature that can access all of your chats if you opt in and switch it on. So go and check that out if you are a Claude subscriber. And this is available on the Pro and the Max plans. Let me know what you think in the comments. And as ever, every comment and sub helps us grow the channel. And I'll see you all next week.